Today, I am going to teach you the 4 verbs future tenses. And these are the simple future, future continuous, future perfect, and future perfect continuous. And let's begin with the simple future. Structure. In writing a sentence using a simple future tense of the verb, as most of the time we begin with a subject followed with the modals will or shall. It means that you may either use one of the two in this particular tense and followed with base form of the verb. When we say base form again, that is the original form of the verb. We don't have to add s or es or d or ed to our regular verb. It must be the base form. And the first function of the simple future is it is used to indicate a future event. For example, they will attend your graduation next week. So let's check the structure first. We have here they as our subject, followed with the modal will. You may also use shall if you like. Then followed with attend. Attend is the base form of the verb. Then your graduation next week. So it means that this particular event or action is going to happen in the future, and that will be next week. And it is still correct to say, I will attend your graduation. It's just that the difference between the two is, in the first example, we are more specific on what particular time your graduation is going to happen in the future. While the second one, I will attend your graduation, we don't indicate a specific time in the future when your graduation is going to happen. But still, by using the structure will attend, it already indicates or it already signals that the event is going to happen in the future. Okay? By looking at the structure itself, will attend. Okay? Another function is it is used to indicate a decision. For example, I will pay the remaining balance of my tuition fee. Let's check the structure. We have here I as our subject, followed with will, followed with pay, and pay here is our base form of the verb. We cannot say I will pays or I will paid. It must be the base form of the verb because that is where common error comes in. Okay? Instead of saying I will pay, some will say I will pays or I will paying or I will paid. We cannot do that. Only say I will pay. So use pay, the base form of the verb. So I will pay the remaining balance of my tuition fee. So that is a decision or that is your decision. Okay? Another example. It is also used to indicate a promise or when you're going to give a promise on something. For example, we shall submit our assignments by the end of this week. Let's check the structure. We have here we as our subject, followed with shall, then submit as our base form of the verb. The sentence means that we promise to submit our assignments by the end of this week. Okay? So subject plus shall or will plus the base form of the verb, and that is simple future. Okay? That's the structure. Let's proceed to the future continuous structure. We begin with a subject followed with will or shall. Then right now we already have the word be. Then earlier it was the base form. Right now it is going to be the present participle form of the verb. And to review, when we say present participle of the verb, those are verbs that end with the ing. Okay? Then the main function of the future continuous is it is used to indicate that something will happen in the future and continue for an expected period of time. So it means that a certain action is going to happen, but it does not end immediately there. But it has a time duration when that action is going to happen in the future. For example, at 6 o'clock, I will be meeting with my players about our first game. Let's check the structure first. We have I as our subject, followed with will be, and meeting here is our present participle, ends with the ing. We cannot say I will be meet or I will be met. It should be meeting, the ing. We're going to use the ing. That will be the present participle. And this sentence means that the meeting is not going to happen in an instant, okay, but in a continuous or progressive manner. This further tells us that if we refer to a future action that by nature we know that that particular action is going to be continuous or progressive, then that may be the best time for us to use future continuous. Okay? Let's move to future perfect. Structure. We begin with a subject followed with the modals will or shall plus the auxiliary verb have plus the past participle form of the verb. Main function. It is used for actions that will be completed between now and some point in the future. It means it has a deadline or a required time when that action is going to be completed. Okay? For example, at 9 o'clock, he will have left from his office. So we have here, he is our subject, followed with will have, then left is the past participle form of the verb leave. We cannot say he will have leave or he will have leaves. So it will be or it must be left. We're going to use the past participle form of the verb leave. This sentence means that he will leave from his office before 9 o'clock, or he will leave from his office between now and this 9 o'clock. And 9 o'clock in the sentence tells us the required time when that action is going to be completed. In using the future perfect in the sentence, it is a requirement also that we indicate the time when the action is going to be completed. Because if you cannot indicate the time, then you better not use the future perfect tense. Okay? So in order for us not to be confused with the simple future and the future perfect, so we have right now a comparison between the two. For simple future, we say at 9 o'clock, he will leave from his office. This means that he will leave from his office at 9 o'clock. Okay? So 9 o'clock is the particular time when he will leave from his office. While in the future perfect, in the same statement, at 9 o'clock, he will have left from his office. If you can see, the meaning of the sentence changes. Okay? From simple future to future perfect. Here in the future perfect, it already means that he will leave from his office before 9 o'clock or between now and this 9 o'clock. If you can see, there is already a difference between the two. Earlier, it was at 9 o'clock. So it was specific that at 9 o'clock he will leave from his office. But here in the future perfect, the time that the action is going to be completed has a range. So it will be between now and this coming 9 o'clock or before 9 o'clock. To be sure, this presentation tells us that using a specific verb tense can make a difference in the meaning of our sentence. And now let's proceed to the last one, the future perfect continuous. Structure. We begin with the subject, followed with will or shall, then followed with have plus been plus the present participle form of the verb. The main function of the future perfect is that it is used to show that something will continue up until a particular time in the future. The duration of the action stops at or before a reference point in the future. For example, they will have been eating for an hour by the time I arrive. Let's check the structure first. We have here they as our subject, followed with will have, then been, then eating here is our present participle. For an hour by the time I arrive. This sentence means that they will have been eating for a certain period of time. And talking about certain period of time in the sentence, that will be an hour. An hour in the sentence tells us the period of time the action is being done. And the action stops when I arrive. So, by the time I arrive in the sentence is a reference point in the future. It means that that is the time signal that tells us when that particular action stops in the future. So, by the time I arrive. Okay? And those are the four verbs future tenses.